Welcome, everyone, to Civil Disobedience TV. This is your host, George Donnelly. We've been talking with good people who disobey unjust laws all day. We've got lots more coming up in the afternoon, but right now I have Danny Panzella with me, another of many very good people, very fine individuals who disobey unjust laws. Welcome, Danny. How you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. It's my pleasure. So, tell us a little about yourself. Do you consider yourself an activist?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been an activist, I would say, for the past 2 years is when I really gotten active. And I'm the kind of guy that can't sit still. So I'm very active. I try to do 3 or 4 things a week that I would consider activism. Whether it's civil disobedience or street actions where we're educating people on the streets, film screenings. We try to organize film screenings on a semi-weekly basis. So, yeah, I'm very active.
Excellent. So, what would you say, motivates you in your activism? Or what goal are you seeking?
Well, I think all of us really are just trying to educate the public. We need to get as much of the public as possible to understand the philosophy of liberty and to live it and to take action. And part of that is civil disobedience, and that's something that Martin Luther King understood very well. And I think that the best thing that we as activists can do is to create more activists and create more people that understand. But it's not even about being an activist. It's not even about having that label of activist. It's about living a life of liberty, living a life of freedom. And if there are laws that are illegal according to the Constitution or unjust, then these are things that we need to push back as free and sovereign individuals. We need to push back against these laws. One of the video clips you have on the site, Howard Zinn said that these laws are written by people with special interests who then tell us this is the law and this is the holy law and this is what you must obey. But that's not the case. These people are writing these laws, to suit themselves and their own interests, and we cannot live by other people's standards of how we should be living.
Amen. Nicely said. Yeah, it is so important, and I see that among people interested in liberty, not so much about in the general population. And it's been so refreshing to see people interested in liberty who actually live the principles of liberty, folks like yourself. And, that's really something that gives me hope for the future. So tell me, Danny, what unjust law or illegitimate authority have you disobeyed?
Well, one of the major things in the last few months that we've all been involved in, something that you and James Babb had started, was We Won't Fly, doing actions inside the airports, educating people about the tyranny of the TSA. That was something that, I had a couple of run-ins with TSA. They weren't TSA screeners. I haven't flown yet, but I'm very excited for the next time I can fly so I can resist the screenings. But I had some run-ins with some TSA, I guess, authorities who wanted to throw us out of the airports and things like this. So I think these types of actions are extremely important. And that's one of the most difficult things, is to get people to understand that liberty is worth being inconvenienced for. I mean, look, Martin Luther King was very inconvenienced by fighting for liberty. He was in jail many times, and ultimately he lost his life because of the fight for liberty. So how much are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to be inconvenienced? Are you willing to miss your plane to ensure that you maintain your rights? Are you willing to have to get to the airport 3 or 4 hours early instead of just an hour early to make sure that you have enough time to deal with these TSA screenings in case if you resist and they put you through a more stringent interview? To me, these are all things that I am completely willing to sacrifice because it's a small sacrifice to ensure that the world that my son is going to live in is a freer world.
Amen. So, what happened when you challenged these? I would definitely call the TSA an illegitimate authority. They've kind of put themselves in between the person who has bought the airline ticket and the airline. I mean, those are parties to a contract, and the TSA has gotten in between them, and I don't really consider them legitimate at all. So, when you when you disobeyed this illegitimate authority, what happened? Can you tell us how it went down?
The Department of Homeland Security is an unconstitutional agency, which making it illegal. I completely agree with you. Then you've got on top of that where they're putting pressure on airlines to just accept this kind of color of law that the TSA has the right to interfere, like you said, in a contractual relationship between two, a private corporation and a private individual. And this idea that the TSA workers have been trying to sell to the public that when you purchase a ticket, you give up your natural rights somehow is ludicrous. It's a ludicrous argument. So, it ranges. I haven't been arrested. I've been arrested at other events protesting at the G20 and things like this, but I haven't been arrested dealing with the TSA yet. But there's this intimidation factor of we're going to arrest you. It was funny at Kennedy on National Opt-Out Day. The TSA, I guess he was one of the chiefs. He came out and he threatened us, and then he actually called the Port Authority police. The Port Authority police showed up with their, we like to call them the Ninja Turtles because they have all the gear and the ride gear on. And he jumps out of this command vehicle with his machine gun, and I can see that the TSA and the Port Authority cop are having this discussion, and the cop is just kind of shrugging his shoulders like, what am I going to do? I'm going to, they're not doing anything. They're handing out flyers. They're just talking to people. So, and he just walked away, and the TSA worker was a little bit frustrated. The agent was a little frustrated by the fact that he couldn't get the Port Authority to intervene because the TSA has no authority except within the airport itself. Mm-hmm. So we were outside of the building. So I guess that was out of his jurisdiction, and he needed the Port Authority to throw us off the property, and they refused to do it. So that was actually a nice win in our corner that day.
Excellent. So how did you feel when you saw the guy in battle gear and his machine gun and all that? How did you feel when this guy rolled up there? What did you think could happen?
Well, I thought there was a very real possibility that we might be arrested, but I was completely prepared for that. And this was the day before Thanksgiving, and my wife told me that if I got arrested, I was going to be in big trouble if I didn't make Thanksgiving dinner. But listen, again, it's something that I'm willing to do. I'm committed to. I live my life this way, so it was a possibility. But I don't get intimidated by those types of things. I come from a family of lawyers, and so I have a little bit of an understanding of how we can maneuver this legally, and it doesn't intimidate me as much as they would like it to. I think that there's a problem in our country where the general population is willing to accept these stormtroopers everywhere. We've got them in the subway here in New York City. We've got them all over the streets. They have cameras everywhere, all over the streets. Mayor Bloomberg is implementing now iris scanners, and this is something that I've been fighting. As a matter of fact, I went to a legislative breakfast the other day and handed out packets of research about the fact that Homeland Security gave the NYPD a grant to buy these iris scanners. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but in New York City we have a big problem with stop and frisk. The NYPD, absolutely, in especially in minority communities, the NYPD randomly stops and frisks people. In Brownsville, New York, there's a problem that I believe the New York Times reported 93% of people are stopped and frisked. Wow. This is an absolute violation of constitutional law and of just natural rights. So now you've got Homeland Security, and the Homeland Security isn't giving money to the NYPD without strings attached. Mm. They're giving them money to buy these, they're handheld iris scanners. Wow. So how long before the NYPD is going to be out on the streets randomly stopping and frisking and then iris scanning people, collecting biometric data, and then submitting that through the fusion centers to the federal government? Not only that, they have I lost my train of thought. The iris scanners.
The handheld iris scanners, and they're going to
Yeah.
pass it to the fusion centers.
Well, right. I mean, obviously, when you have DHS involved, there's going to be strings attached, and they're going to want this biometric data. Oh, this is where I was going. Governor Patterson, the former governor of New York, just signed a ban on keeping information on people who were stopped and frisked but not found to have any contraband. So, in other words, innocent people. And Bloomberg and Commissioner Ray Kelly of the NYPD were pushing to have a database of innocent people. Does this make any sense? What kind of world do we live in? Is this Germany in the 40s? They wanted to keep a database of innocent people, and the governor had to ban them from doing this. Why is this even a question? Why is this even a discussion? It's very disturbing to me. So now, the NYPD still does keep a record of innocent people, but it's a paper record. It's not a digital record. So, in other words, when the cop stops and frisks you, one of them takes your ID, they run it in their computer in their car, and they keep a record. Well, now they're banned from keeping a digital record, but they still have their notes. They take their notes in their daily pads. So it is not inconceivable that a list could be made from that information. But now, if you bypass that, and they're just going to retina scan everybody when they stop and frisk them. Now, this is very dangerous. So this is something that I've taken upon myself I've created information packages about these iris scanners and all the information that's available to the public, and demanded of my legislators to look into this. I hear that a bill is being put into the New York State legislature to ban the use of these, which I'm setting up an interview with the state legislator who introduced the bill to try and get information.
That's excellent. So, are you, how do you feel about laws in general? Are you opposed to all laws or just certain laws? And how do you decide which ones to obey and which ones to disobey?
Well, this is conversations that I have with a lot of people who have kind of, I guess, are more inclined to the anarchist philosophy, which I'm just sort of starting to study a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm not against all laws. I consider myself a conservative libertarian. I think, obviously, any law that needs to be disobeyed in a degree. Look, I may have a philosophical opposition to a law, but that doesn't automatically mean that I'm going to disobey it. But when a law goes so far as to violate one of my natural rights, well, then that's a problem. So warrantless checkpoints, those types of things are, like, for instance, checkpoints for looking for drunk drivers. Am I going to, get arrested over that? Probably not. Most times, I will definitely make comments to the officers and speak to them while I'm in this checkpoint about how unconstitutional it is. I'll try to plant seeds. But am I going to resist? Am I going to drive through a checkpoint? No. Will I avoid a checkpoint? Most definitely, if I can. But as far as the TSA, absolutely. I will resist the TSA. I will not go through a body scanner, and I will not have an enhanced pat-down. And if that means that they're going to refuse to let me on a plane, then I'm going to complain to the airline. I'm going to make sure that that company knows that I will no longer be giving them business if they are going to allow the TSA to interfere in the services that I'm paying for.
Nicely said. So have you received any criticism from friends or family about your activism where you disobey unjust laws or illegitimate authorities?
I think that most people... not really. I mean, a lot of people will accept. Yeah, I mean, I guess people sometimes call me crazy. Oh, you're crazy. There's Al Qaeda. We have to, we need security. And I just try to educate them. And Benjamin Franklin's quote is one of my favorites. I use it in many of my conversations and interviews, that those who will trade liberty, essential liberty, for temporary security deserve neither and will get neither. Mm-hmm. So I try to impress that philosophy on people that still believe that we need to have this kind of police state control to be safe. We could all be safe if we never leave our houses, but what kind of life is that to live?
Yeah. So what do you say? Some people say the law is the law, and we must obey all laws whether we like them or not. because it is the law. So what do you say to that point of view?
The law is only the law because we make it the law. We, the people, run this country. We, the people, are the power. And the balance of power has shifted to the government, but it's time, and this is what the liberty movement is about. It's about taking that power back. It does not belong to them. It belongs to we, the people. So civil disobedience is just one tool in the war against tyranny. It's one tool that we can use to shift power back into the hands of the people. And that is crucial, or we will end up with an authoritarian government, which will no longer have any ability to fight back.
Nicely said. Well, Danny, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. But before we go, do you have any projects that you'd like to give a plug here?
Yeah, truthsquad.tv is my latest project. It's a news blog, and in the spring we're going to be launching a 1-hour magazine format political show focused mostly on New York City politics and issues, but we're also going to be covering national level stuff like the TSA.
Excellent. All right, well, thanks again, Danny, and I wish you a great day.
Thank you. You too. Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.